Hi, welcome to Property Zone Live. My name is Ashley. I'm the moderator of today. Today is our honor to invite our first speaker. So he's actually graduate in economics from US for 20 years ago, and he worked in the stock brokerage financial institution for more than 10 years, both in US, also Malaysia. And also he started as a property investor for 15 years ago and has been following property market trends since then. So let's welcome Sean.
Hello everybody, good to see you all.
So today our topic is how will the trade wars between China and US and also a cut in OPR that impacts Malaysia property. So before we start, we actually have a prize to give out, and the prize of today is this is a Daydream View VR headsets by Google. So if let's say you would like to win the prize today, what you can do is you just have to, to explain the topic below. So with the trademarks and OPR cards, is property still a good investment? So, or should people just wait and see? So you may actually written down on your best explanations and to win the Daydream View. All right. So and if let's say you would like to get a free PDF files, what you can do is you can actually comment us on the I Love Property and you will get a free PDF. So Sean, it's our honor to have you today.
Good to see you, Ashley.
Yes. Yeah. And we would like to know, as now ongoing on the trade war between China and also US, so it has been on the international spotlights because everybody, has been discussing this for like few weeks already. So it doesn't seem to be, I think that it won't be resolved soon. And what can you share with us, the development and also perhaps in a summary form about it?
Okay. Thank you for your questions. Hi everyone. I think recently if you have been turning on your Facebook, read the newspaper articles or whatever, you will definitely see some coverage about the trade war between China and US. For a while it seems like so distant from most of us. Right. Until I think 2 days ago, if you are using a Huawei, then suddenly you know that Google and then Android stopped supporting Huawei, and then does it mean that my Huawei phone is going to work?
I feel sad also.
But I think there was a solution for that. But the point I want to drive to you is, when the trade war, it seems so distant away from us. Two countries, they are 1,000 miles away, and then a lot of times you only read piece by piece of what's going on. But I think now it's probably one of the good time to let us sit down and try to understand why it happened, how did it go, and what can we expect in future. So I think let me start with the beginning of the trade war. Yeah. I think for most people who follow the event, they understand that apparently US President Donald Trump is the one who actually initiated, and their main reason is two. First thing is, as you know, let's say for example, there are many US corporations, they only keep the 10% of the job is between US, but 90% of those packaging assembly line, they will actually put aside, and then they will let it handle, they set up a manufacturer in overseas, for example China, India, and so on. So in order to keep his campaign lively and attractive, so we want to bring more job opportunity back to US. No, imagine if you are a jobless person, your slogan come in as it say, don't find a job, let the job come and find you. Wow, can you imagine how attractive the slogan is?
This is good.
Right? So imagine this is one of the things that he can actually win the presidency. And second thing is, for those who follow the events, you will know that China, US, China is exporting 5 times more to US than US exporting to China. Yes. So in other words, because when you export something, you actually make money. But when you import something, you actually have to pay money.
Yeah.
So when you actually import more than you export,
Then
so
you're
in
in-
other words, your expenses are higher.
Yeah.
So what happened is US now have to pay more to China when the ongoing trade. So this will result we call trade deficit, the
Yeah.
trade account. So when your import is more than your export, you will
Alright.
have a trade deficit.
Okay.
So President Trump doesn't really like this, and he actually make a pledge to the US citizens saying, we want to improve the trade deficit, we want to turn it to surplus.
Wow.
In other words, it try to minimize the gap, minimize the trade deficit. If you can turn to surplus, it's better. So in other words, they want to export more by setting their factory more between US. So this is the beginning of it. So now come to the second part.
Yeah. I mean, if that's the case, right, since both of them, they are the problems that cannot be solved, so who has the upper hand on this trade war?
All right. On paper is US at a glance. Why? Because US exporting to China is less than what China exporting to US. In other words, for every single item China is going to tax on the US goods, US can tax 5 times. Every year, China export 500 billion or thereabouts goods to US.
Alright.
But US only exporting 100 billion. So in other words, US would have open, they can tax more.
So right now they got the upper hand, also benefit on that.
This is on the surface, but if you do understand whether it's physical war or whether there's trade war, when it comes to war, hardly anybody win out of it. So I think instead of looking at country to country, do you think China is going to benefit more or you think US is going to win more? I will actually put it down in sector. If you actually look at after trade war has been under spotlight, people start realizing, they will start actually screaming in and zoom in to understand what are the items being exported from China to US and what are the items being exported from US to China.
So
and surprisingly, we all know that US is superpower, right? It's a much developed country than China. But you look at the items, most of the items exported from China to US are IT, high-end technology stuff. But where US is exporting to China are a lot of agricultural stuff. For example, soybean. For example, corn. For example, pork. So recently, China just decided to cancel the import of the whole fleet of pork from US. So
they get it from other countries.
They can get it from other countries. But the points I want to share with you is I think we should not look at country by country per side. Both countries losing out. Instead, we should look at the industrial side.
Yeah.
Right? So for example, if the industry from China is losing out, certain industry, then certain industry in US will stand to gain. So then you will have a better overall understanding by looking at the sector and industry instead of just focusing on the two countries.
I see. Since because at the current moment we know that US actually have the upper hand.
Yeah.
So what is the weapons that China's to retaliate, and also how would it affect and of the neighboring affect the China and of the neighboring countries?
Okay, I think that would be a rather sophisticated technical subject, but let me just bring down into two. You see, on the surface that you just mentioned that US seems to have upper hand because they can tax more items. They can tax 500 billion items.
Yeah.
China can only tax 100 billion worth of items. But the two weapons that China is having now, which is well known and which is you can see a lot of explanation, you can see a lot of write up about China's these two weapons. The first one is the US Treasury, all right? As you know, US is one of the biggest country. They print out treasury, bills, notes, and they sell it to the whole world.
Yeah.
People buy US Treasury because it's stable, because it's safe, and they get pretty good return based on the risk, which is minimum risk. The return they get, they're satisfied. And China is the biggest subscriber, the biggest buyer in the whole world to buy US Treasury. It has been going on for this while, all right? So now, if China, starting from today, don't even say stop, but to reduce to buy US Treasury. That means that the demand for US Treasury will be lesser.
Yeah, lesser.
So in other words, at the first place, why US issue government bond treasury is because they want to get the fund in so that they can do infrastructure spending, so on and so forth.
Yep.
If today China's reduce their spending, reduce their purchase in US Treasury, it means what? It
There's
means
no money.
US will
Less.
receive less money
Yep.
from China. Maybe a few percent for people doesn't mean a lot.
But as you said, majority is from China, right?
Yes, but when you look at the size, the quantum of the US Treasury bills,
Then it's
you will
a
know the impact. So first, potential weapon China may use is they could either stop. Stop is very drastic, but to reduce the purchase for US Treasury, that will be one of the powerful. But of course, it will hurt US, but at the same time, it will hurt China as well. But as you know, when the war is going on, they have to make something. They have to do something that make sure they hurt the opponents more than hurt themselves. But they will know that they will hurt themselves, but they just want to make sure that they will hurt their opponents more.
Yeah.
This is one. The second thing is currency. Currency. And what do I mean by currency? 2 years ago, $1 US can change 6.3 yuan renminbi.
Okay.
All right? Now, $1 US can change about 6.94 yuan.
Wow.
So what means that you can see a sharp depreciation
Yep.
for renminbi, or we call yuan. So if you look at this, you will know that if the escalating trade war between US and China, one of the things China can do is they devalue their currency.
But if that's the case, right, so if China's yuan is to depreciate and further, so how about the China initiative? So how would it impact to Malaysia property if continues that we've been depreciated?
Okay. Of course, as you know, economy, there have been a lot of factors to impact one event. But just to look at the currency devaluation from China's yuan side, very simple. If you actually look at the historical data, the historical data, if you look at the movement of ringgit and the movement of renminbi versus US dollar,
All right.
these two currency, our currency and renminbi, they actually move in tandem.
Oh, okay.
When they move in tandem, what do they mean is that
Yep.
if in case China is really devaluing the yuan, or the yuan depreciates to a certain level, you will see ringgit move in the same direction. So, if China yuan is going to drop, you will see renminbi, Malaysian ringgit is going to fall as well,
Okay.
in comparison to US dollar. So when this happen,
So it is not so good for us, right?
there will be certain factors to it, but I'm just looking at a property point of view.
Okay.
I think there are two potential things that we see opportunity in crisis. And what do I mean that? You see, when China is about to devalue their currency, all right? And because of trade, most people are quite certain about it. Just imagine you are a billionaire in China, and your money is all in renminbi. And you know that because of the trade war, your government is going to devalue their currency. And all your assets, whether in bank accounts, your business, or your property, all denominated in renminbi. So if renminbi you expect going to fall, what would you do?
When it fall, then I shift out all the money
So most likely they will shift the money out
from the country.
and make sure they're not denominated in yuan.
Yeah.
Right? So the money they flow, of course, they will go to those countries participate in the Belt Road Initiative, and Malaysia is one of them.
Yeah. So we got the benefit.
So there will be the potential benefit, the potential side benefit, I would say. And then the second thing is, as I mentioned, if yuan depreciate, ringgit depreciate, and we are Malaysia. So in a larger extent, to a large extent, we foresee the inflation, which also refers to the loss of value in the currency. You know that if you hold 100 ringgit today, it will only worth 70 3 years later. Most people would not choose to hold currency if people were smart one, because we know that even I earn 4% FD today, eventually the real money I get, with the real purchasing power is lesser than today. So what people will do, they will actually buy asset. You have seen in the whole world, you have seen in different time zones, when the value of the currencies is about to drop, smart people will actually move their money to asset. And the biggest one, they give the return, and the most popular, most acceptable asset is property. So potential from the international aspect, from the devaluation of Chinese renminbi, would have potential positive side effects on Malaysian property.
So the one will consider if there's the side effect of the yuan will depreciate. So Malaysian property, you will be benefited on a certain
Of course,
percentage.
notwithstanding other potential factors, but I'm just looking at this straight line.
I see.
You can see the potential impact one to another, A to B, B to C.
It is continuous, basically.
Yes, they will have a domino effect, so to say.
Okay. So, but another thing is because recently we have a news that OPR has been decreasing. So I know that it's been decreasing for about 25 basis, and then and what do you think of the impact of Malaysia property of OPR drop 25%?
Okay, so OPR stands for overnight policy rate. Okay, basically is how banks borrow from each other, and this is the rate they charge. And then effectively it will affect our lending rate and the FD rate. So 25 basis point, what we see, also refers to 0.25%. So 0.5% is equals to 25 basis point. I think most audience here, you will probably have some loan in certain form. So if you are having a housing loan, you will most likely see a 20-30 ringgits reductions in your installment. Or if not, that means your tenor will be shortened by maybe a few months to half a year, depending on your original loan amount.
But to some buyers, they may say that 0.25% it may look like 20-30 ringgit. It looks like
insignificant.
Insignificant. It's a small figure. What do you think?
I think two school of thought. Yes, agree. 20-30 ringgits may not be very significant to influence somebody to make a decisions, whether to buy more property or to get a new car loan and all this, is because it's insignificant. But I think people need to look at from another point of view. I think it's the directions that matters. Because not too long ago, we have been seeing the government they want to keep control. Their target is to fight inflation. They don't want to have inflation eroding our currency value.
I see.
That is the main target. But now you are looking, the government initiative is to grow economy, to spur the economy growth.
It's very obvious,
So I think there's a time the credit is flowing, and this is the time people should acquire asset. And other than the OPR that you mentioned, yes, 20-30 ringgits a month reduction in paying your loan is not a lot, but I think the other one you should pay close attention to is a reserve ratio. Okay, what's reserve ratio, right? Okay, for example, today I'm public bank. All right. Let's say you represent the all depositor. Let's say you deposit 100 millions into public bank. All right. So if you deposit 100 million, can I lend out 100 million?
Usually cannot. I lend to you 100 million.
You deposit to me. You are deposit to my fixed deposit saving account. I cannot lend out 100 million.
Yeah, of course.
So if the reserve ratio rate is 5%, okay, I can loan out 95 million. So whatever deposit into me, minus out the reserve ratio, this is how much I can lend out. So any reduction in reserve ratio, reserve requirement ratio, or people refer to it, will have a significant impact on the money flowing out to the market. And this is the bigger ratio. This will much bigger financial news to the market. A short example, a reduction of 0.5%, 0.5 or 50 basis point in reserve requirement, they may have a multiplying impact, capital flowing to the market in the tune of 7 billion.
Wow, in a big figure, yes, that is a really big impact.
Yes, because interest rate is like, if you reduce some interest rate a bit, but if the bank is not going to lend you money, no matter how low the interest rate, doesn't matter to you.
True also.
What makes the significant impact is the banks start lending more.
Yeah.
And recently, I think, if those of you who pay attention, is our finance minister, Mr. Lim, he make a public announcement. He said that if you make a loan application to the bank and the bank reject you,
All
right, you can file a report, a complaint to finance minister. Finance ministry, okay?
True.
They will do an investigation. If they were to decline or reject your loan without any basis or good basis, they will fine the bank.
Wow.
This statement come out. Of course, some people say that you are a finance minister, you should not mingle with the matters. But I think the message is very clear that they want the bank to start lending.
So I assume that, for now, because of the news of the Prime Minister with the Financial Minister, plus with the OPR, so the loan will be more easier to obtain. Can say so.
Let's
right?
put it this way. I'm a bank, okay? I will have certain clients, no matter what finance minister say, I will approve. This is my top prime client.
Yeah.
There will be certain clients, no matter what finance minister, I will not approve because they have secret problem, they have status problem.
Yeah.
How about the middle part? The one you can be approved or you
Also
cannot, or cannot. In the gray area, those,
Yeah.
all right? The bank will start thinking about,
Whether want to approve or not to approve.
but with the finance minister make the announcements, it's okay.
I think they will take care more on this part.
Yes, but if
Yeah.
one bank start giving out approval on this 10-15%, multiplied by the number of banks we have in Malaysia.
But this is good, so that others people, they will be, people who are on the grey area, maybe the chances for them to get loan will be higher.
Yes. So this is what has been announced.
But talking about just now we mentioned about the OPRs, it has dropped about 25
Basis point.
point. So what else we can expect in the future, that government policy to boost the property market?
Okay, as I mentioned, the OPR thing, to loosen the credit so that no more capital, it's happened in the past.
Yeah.
It may be insignificant to many people, look at the amount, but what I think what people should be paying attention to is not about the 20-30 ringgit, it's actually the change of direction of the government policy.
Okay.
The change of direction in government policy will have a huge impact in property market. It's not only happened in Malaysia, you can see it in China, you can see it in Australia, US, Singapore, so on and so
What's
forth.
the impact?
Okay, I give an example. All right, when the government policy is to change to make it a more accommodative to obtain a loan, and housing loan being a biggest.
Okay.
All right. Currently, we have two things that have been currently implemented, but they was not in place 10-20 years ago.
Okay.
First, okay, I'm talking about real property gain tax. Real property gain tax, if you look at the record, this is the highest ever in Malaysian history. Never in our history is more than 5 years and you still have to pay. And the first 3 years you pay 30%.
30%, yeah.
So this is like, ouch. And it's dampened the spirit, it dampened the sentiment for a lot of property purchaser.
Yeah.
Okay?
This
Just think about
impact a
this,
lot.
right?
Yeah.
But what happened if 1 or 2 years later, or in the near future, this is being reduced half? Can you imagine the impact, positive impact it will goes? And the second thing.
How I wish that it dropped faster.
Well, I think seeing the direction, change of direction, I will see this more possible. Second thing is the loan to value. As you know that people who currently have more than 2 housing loans, the next house, the maximum loan amount they can borrow is 70%. This has been very effective too to keep a lot of speculative activities at shore. So 70%.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's, they need to come up with high capitals to own the properties.
Correct. But imagine, what happened this measurement is to be taken out in the near future? Can you imagine the buying interest, people who have been sitting on the fence, suddenly with this announcement coming in, even third property, fourth property, they can still get 90% loan.
Wow. I think the investor will be very happy.
So, of course, I'm not saying, I'm not a fortune teller, I'm not saying that when it will happen. I'm just saying that the first 2-3 things already happened. We are seeing a change of direction in the government, and what what if these two happens?
If the government will encourage the people to buy more property in Malaysia, so I foresee that maybe they may have more changes on it.
Yes.
But it all depends whether they have the encouragements for the people to buy more or not.
Yeah.
Right?
So for me, if talking from property perspective is if this announcement comes, it means opportunity. Seriously, in big times, right? The thing is, when the opportunity comes, are you ready? Are your secrets ready to buy?
Yeah.
Are your CTOs ready to buy? Are your document in place even when you want to buy? Because of this. So I think eventually, opportunity knock knock. The question you need to ask yourself, are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say that, so based on today's topics, right, we're talking about the trade war of the US and also China. So it will be good things that, we have a side effect. If let's say the yuan has depreciate and, it may affect on Earth. So basically people will come over to Malaysia. And if people who coming in Malaysia to buy more property, so the price in Malaysia, it may increase in the future. And if let's say there's a chances, maybe we can buy now rather than in the future. But second thing, talking about OPR, even though it's only like 0.25, but we will say that it's actually a big change if let's say in the long term. So it's good that at this point of view, if let's say if there's optimistics on the property side. So if let's say we buy now, I would think will be good lah. Right? Yeah, that's good. So do you have any other things to share with us?
I pretty much cover most of the things we want to discuss today.
Sure. And before I end this, I would like to repeat this price. So basically, in order to win the daydream view, so what you can do is you may share with us your opinion and also your ideas about the questions below. So with the trade walls and also OPR cards, is property still a good investment? So, or should people still wait and see? So you may share with us more, and of course that you can also comment on I Love Property to get your free PDF. All right. So see you again next week. Bye.
Bye bye.